Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp. We saw massive protests across the weekend. Did they actually do anything? I'll talk a little about that. I just wrote a column about it as well. But I'm going to start off with, and we'll get into the ceasefire slash not a ceasefire slash kind of a ceasefire slash Israel bombs whenever the fuck they want slash no, but it's a ceasefire. We'll get into that as well. More news on that, more news on so many things. So click thumbs up and let's just stop promoting and just do it. So as you know, Trump's been blowing up fishermen out in the Caribbean, which is keeping us safe. Okay, safe from fishermen, aggressive fishermen that could have been smuggling Spanish to the United States. You don't know. You don't know how much Spanish they might have had with them, on that boat. There's some video clips right there of him obliterating these boats, or the Pentagon, actually, although he's the one obviously that gives the order. And we're now getting some more details as to who exactly is on some of these boats. Thank you, Mustache, for the donation. Excellent name, Mustache. Thank you for supporting the show. But we're now seeing that the U.S. has released some survivors. These were the first survivors of any of these strikes, any of these utterly insane. What are the costs? Has anyone looked up the cost of the missiles that are dropped on the fishing boats? How much is it cost, or the gasoline of the F-35? How much per dead fisherman is the U.S. spending? That's what I want to know. Per poor dude trying to get some food for his family in the ocean that the U.S. has exploded. How much that costing? Because Americans care more about that than human life. I mean, really, we should care a lot more about the human life, but we're so far past that. No. But we might care about, it's $5 million per fisherman that we're blowing out into the ocean. Anyway, the U.S. released the two survivors of one of the strikes. And of the two survivors of Thursday's military strike on suspected drug vessel, suspected by no one, honestly, in the Caribbean, to their home countries of Ecuador and Colombia. This is Trump's war on Venezuela. This is Trump's war on Venezuelan drug dealers, narco terrorists, as he says. The two survivors are Colombian and Ecuadorian. So he's not even blowing up the right fishermen. He's not even blowing up the fishermen of the country we're trying to intimidate because we're upset that they have the most oil in the world. And we realize that if they put that oil out onto the market and not in petrodollars, then our dollar would be destroyed. And so that is why we're blowing up their fishermen. But it's not even their fishermen. It's other people's fishermen we're blowing up. The fuck? Trump said it was a great honor. This is what you got to love about this guy. He's literally told that he's blowing up fishermen from other countries he didn't mean to be blowing up, and he said it was a great honor. Wow, guys, really jumping in with the support. Appreciate it. Florentino throwing in a couple of bucks. Thank you. Nadia giving members, giving away, has just become a member of the YouTube community. Thank you so much. And Nadia correctly references that it's not just Ecuador and Colombia. I'll get to the other one in a moment. Trump said it was a great honor to destroy a drug-carrying submarine with four known narco-terrorists on board. Of course, if he were being accurate that these were known narco-terrorists, then he probably would have hit the correct country's people, right? Because if they're actually known, I mean, the truth is they're not known. They're just blowing up boats. They're like, could have drugs. Why not? We're faking it all anyway. Why not just blow that one? They don't actually know who's on these boats. But he pretends they do because Trump's an excellent actor. Although I think most of his lies he believes in his head, which doesn't count as acting, right? That's just legitimate. It's kind of like when they give out the awards for best, porn stars and stuff. And I'm like, I don't like the best at porn acting. I'm like, I don't think that was acting. I think they were genuinely having sex. Like, They may have been doing it for money, but it's not. I don't know that counts as. I'm just saying, I don't know that counts as acting. Anyway, 4 known narco terrorists on board, 2 of whom were killed. The 2 surviving terrorists are being returned to the countries of origin, Ecuador and Colombia, for detention and prosecution. Question number 5,000 for this insane war crime festival that Trump's involved in. If these are the most horrifying narco terrorists in the world, and in Trump's mind, in the mind of the White House, they have the legal ability, the legal allowance to murder these people, to blow them up in the open ocean without any trial, any charges, nothing. They are that insanely dangerous to this country. Why'd they ship them back? The ones that survived. Why? If they're so horrifying, so terrifying, narco terrorists, oh my God, they ship them home afterwards? And the real reason, if you actually read about it, is that it's because they don't actually believe they have the legality to do anything else to them. Like, they don't, it's not actually illegal for them to murder them. But Trump's committing war crimes left and right, so it doesn't matter. But if they would have survivors, then they have to take them to like a court and a prison and shit. And then they don't have, well, what the fuck are they going to reference as to why they can, I found a fisherman in a boat in non-American waters, and we're like, they don't want to deal with any of that. Sure, what are they going to, like, they're going to send them to Gitmo where they don't have to give them any charges or trial, I guess. So rather than deal with any of that, they shipped these people home. They tried to kill them. They failed, and they shipped them home. I don't know if it's Yeson Obando Perez, maybe. 34 was named as the survivor returned to Colombia in a post on X from the country's interior minister. Perez arrived with brain trauma, sedated, drugged, breathing with a ventilator. Well, good. We fucked up that fisherman severely. Excellent. So that was the one that was sent to Colombia. But those are not the only countries. Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, that we have blown up, assassinated people, fishermen for no reason. Also, Trinidad and Tobago. Family of Trinidadian man believed killed in U.S. strike demands proof of drug trafficking. Relatives of a Trinidadian man who said he was killed. Wait, the relative said he was killed, not. He showed up and said, look, I was killed by the Americans. Fuck. No, I think the he is a little vague in that sense. I think they mean the relatives. Or the who, sorry, not the he, the who is vague. The relatives say he was killed in a military strike on a boat in the Caribbean this week, are demanding evidence to back up allegations by Donald Trump that those who died were trafficking drugs. He doesn't have any evidence. His evidence is that he felt like it. His evidence is, I'm trying to create an all-out war with Venezuela, so I'm hoping they respond so that I can do that. That is what's happening, and that's why I blew up your Trinidadian fisherman. That would be the honest response. You know, so people who say Trump always tells the truth, even when it's horrific. It's not true. He does sometimes, but Donald Trump, this is a quote from one of the family members, took a father, a brother, an uncle, and nephew from families. Trump doesn't care what he's doing, said Joseph's cousin, 41. They called him a calm and humble father figure with a young daughter. If you say a boat has narcotics on it, where are the narcotics? We want evidence. We want proof. There is nothing. Of course, these people are asking for proof there were narcotics. And I think part of that is they can't get their relative back, but they want respect for him back. They don't want him to be known as a narco trafficker. So I think that's why they're asking for proof of the drugs. The truth is, if there were proof of drugs, or if he were on a boat where someone else on the boat was trafficking drugs or had drugs and he didn't know it, it wouldn't matter. You still can't assassinate. You can't just assassinate drug dealers. Literally, no, as horrific as American cops are, they, at least at this point, are not allowed to walk up to a guy selling drugs and just shoot him in the head. yeah, they can. If he pulls out a gun, they're allowed to murder him, which also is insane in its own way. But you can't do that. You can't just, because you're not supposed to be the judge, jury, and executioner. So whether these people had drugs, and there's been no evidence they did, but if they did, still can't murder them. Still can't murder them. Joseph's great uncle, Cecil McLean, 93, called the strike a perfect murder. I like this 93-year-old still with it, still giving great arguments. He says, there is nothing that could prove that they are coming across our waters with drugs. How could Trump prove the boat was bringing narcotics? By perfect murder, he means there's generally no evidence. You blew up a boat. You killed or almost killed everyone on board. The survivors aren't even, they have severe brain damage. But even if they survived, there's no, like, the boat is sunk. It's in pieces and it's sunk. Any drugs that could have been on board, if you were telling the truth, are blown up or gone or scattered to the oceans. So you have to give no evidence. Yeah, nothing. You just say, well, sure. Tons of drugs on there. Oh, my God. You know what else was on there? There was black market organs they had on there. There was missiles they'd stolen. There were sex trafficking. They had Epstein. He was still alive. They had him on there. It was all on there. It's too bad it got blown up in the explosion. It's just too bad. This really goes with the idea that, like, if you're going to murder people, do it in a giant way. Don't just kill someone and try and bury them in your back. You'll get caught, you're trying to bury them in the backyard. Someone's going to notice that you had a shovel or whatever out at midnight. What do you do with a shovel at midnight? It'll something like that. They'll find you, okay, if you murder a neighbor or something. What you need to do, blow up their whole house. Blow up a whole boat. Then there's no evidence of anything. Rent an F-35. I think Enterprise has them. If Enterprise doesn't, try Dollar. Dollar Rent-A-Car usually has a couple of F-35s sitting around. Get one of those. Ask the person you want to assassinate, get on a boat. Be like, it's a fun thing. Take them out on a tour or something. Not you personally. You'll be in the F-35. And then you blow them up in the boat. And then you just say they were drug runners. Thank you, Peasants Revolt. Another good name. You guys are killing with the name. Not sure which I like best. Peasants Revolt or Mustache. Quality names. Love them. Family member said Joseph was a fisherman who had traveled to Venezuela where he had relatives to find work 6 months ago. So here's something else, which I bet you could have imagined. These are poor people that Trump is blowing up. These are poor fishermen. This guy left Trinidad because he couldn't find any work there to go to Venezuela, another country that is having epic economic troubles because of our sanctions on them. But he figured he might be able to get some fishing jobs out there, goes to Venezuela, blown up by the U.S. military. That's the fucking world we're in. And you have 99% of Americans believing these are drug runners. Or I don't know, maybe I'm being negative. Maybe it's 90% of Americans believe that these are drug runners. And then you got, I don't know how many percent of Americans believe it's fine to murder them. Oh, you had drugs, fucking blow them up. You know how many Americans probably say that? Probably if you were to talk to them, they're like, look, you're going to be in a drug boat. You're going to get blown up. It's just how it works. And then you ask them if they do drugs. He's like, yeah, I'll smoke a joint on the weekend. Yeah, I'll do a little devil's dandruff, on not that often, only Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, I keep it to Tuesdays. And you're like, didn't you just say a drug runner should be blown up? And it's like, well, they're drug runners. They should be blown up. But you do drugs. Yeah, well, you got to have fun sometimes. You got to let loose sometimes. Colombia's leader has responded because his citizens are being blown up by America. Colombia's leader accuses the U.S. of murder, prompting Trump to halt all aid to Colombia. It also this game plan with Trump also works because Trump also hates Colombia right now. Colombia traditionally has been a ally of the United States because there's been far right wing lunatic leaders in there, which means the United States likes them. But now you have Petro in there, who is essentially a leftist and has been one of the most outspoken against Israel, outspoken against the United States. The U.S. just revoked his visa because of what he said at the UN. So Now Trump hates them too. And so he's like, blow up Colombians. What's it matter? President Petro of Colombia accused the United States of murdering a fisherman in an attack on a boat that the American authorities claimed was carrying illicit drugs. Trump responded on Sunday that he would slash assistance and impose new tariffs on the country. The administration has provided no evidence to support the claims beyond descriptions of intelligence assets and declassified videos of portions of attacks. By the way, something I covered that the New York Times chooses not to put in this article, the fucking admiral who was heading this project of murdering fishermen off Venezuela has stepped down after only 1 year of a 3-year, whatever it is, term in this position. And that almost never happens. That a general, admiral, whatever your dumb ranks mean. I don't believe in hierarchies, so I don't actually care. It's like a joke I had about, since I don't believe in God, I can say God bless anything. God bless people that commit genocide. It doesn't mean anything to me. There's nothing weird about it. It's not a thing. Anyway, so your admiral, commander, your hierarchies don't mean anything. The floor is lava. Yeah, well, not to me. I don't care about your rules. Anyway, that admiral has stepped down, which almost never happens, which means that like even people within the Pentagon, the people who've bought into this garbage more than anyone, even they are like, why are we murdering fishermen off Venezuela? Even they don't understand what the hell is going on. He's losing parts of the Pentagon, which is amazing. Legal specialists have called such killings illegal because militaries cannot lawfully target civilians who do not pose a threat in the moment and are not directly participating in hostilities. U.S. government officials have committed a murder and violated our sovereignty and territorial waters, Petro wrote on social media. He said the man killed in the mid-September attack, Alejandro Carranza, was a lifelong fisherman whose boat had experienced damage and was adrift, probably in Colombian waters at the time of the attack. Mr. Trump responded by accusing Mr. Petro of not doing enough to curb the production of illegal drugs, calling him an illegal drug dealer. So now Trump's accusing Petro of being a drug dealer. He had already accused Maduro with zero evidence of being a narco-terrorist, whatever the hell that means. Trump is also claiming that for like every fisherman he murders, he saved 25 billion Americans or whatever, because he's acting like that's going to stop the opioid epidemic, or I don't know. There needs to be no logic in Trump world, none whatsoever. Logic is meaningless to him, so he just says whatever garbage he feels like. Meanwhile, another wonderful supporter of the U.S. empire that I did a segment on just last week. She won the Nobel Peace Prize for trying to bring a U.S. coup to Venezuela. She spoke to Netanyahu. This is Maria Corina Machado. This is a Venezuelan far-right opposition politician who won the Nobel Peace Prize for trying to invade and destroy her home country. God, the Nobel Committee, they are just, what a great group of folks, aren't they? And Israeli ruler Benjamin Netanyahu, I like that they use the term ruler. This is Orinoco Tribune, which does great work. They confirmed that they had spoken on the phone, the two of them, because peas in a pod. Peas in a fucking pod. In the conversation that took place on Friday, October 17th, Machado, who recently received the Nobel Peace Prize, praised Netanyahu's actions in Gaza, which he described as decisive, and which resulted in the killing of 68,000 Palestinians, including 20,000 children, if you believe the official numbers. But you and I have discussed a bunch how those are not enough. But literally, like having like a bromance with, I know she's not a bro. All right, just a romance. Literally having like a clandestine affair with Netanyahu over the phone. I think they were both drooling and licking the phone. She congratulated. This is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. She congratulated Netanyahu for his decisive actions. During the conversation, Machado also congratulated him for Israel's achievements after 2 years of Israeli military aggression against Palestinians, genocide, which destroyed thousands of homes, schools, and hospitals and caused a famine that affected 2 million people. Machado also highlighted the Israeli regime's tireless fight. It is, that's one thing you got to give them credit for, the tireless genocide. Because I hate people who do half-hearted genocides. If you're gonna be a genocidal, megalomaniacal, fucking lunatic, parasite, bloodbath aficionado, then do it with some gusto, do it with some passion. She highlighted their tireless fight against Iran and accused the Venezuelan government of receiving support for Iran, in addition to Hamas, Hezbollah, and other organizations that she described as terrorists. For his part, Netanyahu reported that he congratulated Machado on the award and praised her efforts to promote democracy and peace. Although I'm sure Netanyahu's a little jealous, because how is it the Nobel Committee hasn't given him a Nobel Peace Prize? Like, considering the criteria that the Nobel Committee is clearly now using for the past several decades, giving Nobel Prizes to Kissinger, Obama, and now Machado, how is it they haven't given one to Netanyahu? There's no one more deserving, according to their current criteria. Okay, let's keep moving on. I just want to just talk for a moment. I'm not going to spend long on this because I did write a column on it, which you all can check out over at my Substack for free, about the No Kings rallies. And if you're a longtime viewer of this show, you know that I think that change needs to evolve a lot more than marching in the streets for an hour or two in a licensed fun for the whole family kind of gathering. I have said many times that I don't necessarily feel such gatherings are like a negative. They sometimes can be, if that kind of acts as a release valve for people who were going to put more effort into creating change, and instead they were like, oh, there's a rally near me, I can go do that for an hour and come home and still get home in time to see the Monday Night Football or whatever. But so there's a positive. Also, if you're a child or you're young and you know, it's important to see that other people care about these things, there can be some positives. Also, someone, after I posted this, mentioned to me that they went to the No Kings rally to hand out literature about how the actual cause is capitalism, of our woes, of our troubles, of our death spiral, to be a little more flowery with my language. And I'm all for that. Fucking yeah. Yeah. But in my article on Substack, which is getting some spicy responses, some people not happy with me saying the No Kings protests don't matter, but they could have. They could have if they involved things like organizing, if they involved things like disrupting business as usual, etc. But something else I make clear in the article is that I spent years, and I don't know that I'll never go to another one, but I spent years going to such rallies. I went to one for Palestine not that long ago. But I just think that they need to be involved in much larger scale efforts in terms of disrupting the status quo, disrupting capitalism, disrupting the extraction, disrupting the Trump administration, all of those things. That's when you see change. And in the article, I talk about a few examples of history where people seem to think, because we our history is kind of glazed over, whitewashed, whatever, seem to think that like, oh, civil rights came about because people marched in the streets. Yeah, along with a shitload of other stuff like desegregating, everything from buses to counters at delis to people getting beat up constantly and refusing to stand down. It was not just march for a couple hours and go home. There was large scale strikes. There was a decade or more, maybe 2, 3, 4 decades of legal battles that had a definite impact on the economy, on what corporations could expect. All of these things. Yeah. Jasmine in the comments is mentioning that Pride started with a riot. Pride was not just a parade, which it is, which people like to point to now and say, now the gay pride parade is just corporatized. You see the Citibank floats at the gay pride parade. But to their credit, they call the gay pride parade a parade. It is a parade. It's a celebration of the achievements of being able to be public about their sexuality, etc. That, all for it. Have parades, have celebrations, celebrate yourself and others, and join together in communities and celebrate. Fucking yeah. Just don't think you're changing anything unless there's something else, unless there's an other aspect, the organizing, the strikes, the working with labor, etc. So I hope you'll check out that article. You can also share it with people if you get in an argument with them about whether No Kings had any impact. And then people are also pointing out that No Kings is funded by a lot of Democrats, meaning politician Democrats, not just your average Democrat, but across America. But also it's got, I think it has corporate sponsors, possibly, all of those things. And again, I'm trying not to be a hypocrite here. I have been to many protests. I have been to many rallies. You can understand all of these things, hopefully. What was that? I was going to put my Substack on the screen one more time. realleecamp.substack.com. I am now ranked number 29, I think, on Substack's Rising World Politics Writers. So if you want to help me keep going up the list, that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah, some of you in the comments saying No Kings is a corporate liberal joke. It needs to involve a lot more. And some people were pointing out that there were there's a million criticisms to be had. Some people were pointing out that they saw almost no Palestine flags or in the genocide or anything like that. I saw one video of someone who did have a Palestine flag, and they were getting like near assaulted by a grandma who said, well, that's not why we're here. We're not here for that. That's horrible. And it shows what many of the people there, out of the 7 million, they believe that that everyone there is just hates Trump. End of story. You can't be there for anything else. You can't be there because you hate genocide. When, of course, you could be, they're like, ideally, these people would all unite and hate all of these things. Hate genocide, hate Trump, hate fascism, hate our two-party corporate bullshit system, hate capitalism for destroying our environment or our world. And yeah, there would be an awesome uniting of all of those forces. Instead, you've got a lot of liberals showing up and going, why you have a Palestine flag? You can't do that. That's dirty. Another great article, if you'd like more ammunition in this debate, by Kai Hushke. I had him on this show not that long ago. Anyway, he wrote for Counterpunch. The article, you can look it up by the title, I believe, Moving Beyond Protest. Counterpunch, Moving Beyond Protest. I'll just read one paragraph. He said, protest alone, disconnected from more substantive action, is akin to screaming in the wind. Akin to screaming in the wind. Protest is not resistance. Protest, whether conscious to it or not, often reinforces the belief that the system is fundamentally sound and that with reform, it can resolve the issue that sparked the protest. We must confront the truth. Our system of governance is fundamentally flawed. It is corrupt, hierarchical, unfair, and thoroughly infiltrated by corporate power and special interests. And anyway, it's a much longer article that details why you must go beyond protest. That was over at Counterpunch. Okay, before I get to Israel, the ceasefire, all of that stuff, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the reason that Israel decided to start again bombing the shit out of Gaza was supposedly because 2 IDF soldiers were killed or Israelis were killed. I don't know. I'm not clear on whether they were soldiers or not. But or I don't remember. Maybe it's in the article I'm about to read. So maybe we'll get that answer in a second. But that's aside from the point. The truth is Israel was lying, and they blew themselves up because they rolled a bulldozer over an Israeli ordinance. And so, spoiler alert. But okay, we'll get to that in a second. A couple of things I want to tell you about in case you didn't see it on the last live stream. Eleanor is hosting essentially it's a fundraiser for doctors in Gaza. But it is a Zoom panel, essentially a Zoom talk, and tickets start at $10. And it is November 18th with two awesome speakers, Athar Zia and Mohammed Bamia, and authors. And it's about a no state solution because much like me, they I think they believe that borders and nationalism are a parasite that are destroying our world. But they're doing this discussion is about that idea when connected with Gaza, when connected with Palestine, when connected with Israel, all of those things. And I'm sure they'll answer all of your questions much better than I can attempt to address it. So if you'd like to check that out or support that in some way, and you can buy a ticket. And if it turns out you have some conflict that day, oh, well, you will have spent $10 to support Gazans. And 100% of the money goes to them. None of it is collected to keep by Eleanor or anyone else. That is Tuesday, November 18th. And you can get that at Art Killing Apathy. That's her website as well. But artkillingapathy.simpletix.com. artkillingapathy.simpletix.com. The other thing I want to tell you about, if I can remember, oh yeah, there it is I'm performing live in New York City, December 12th, my first live stand-up comedy show in a while. And that's with John F. O'Donnell from Redacted Tonight as well. That is December 12th. Also special guests Andrews Lee and Allie O'Neill. And you can grab your tickets at tinyurl.com/Lee Cobra Club. tinyurl.com/Lee Cobra Club. One word, obviously, because it's a link. But that's because we're performing at the Cobra Club. So, but that's in Brooklyn, New York. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. My first stand-up performance in like a year or two. I have not had a lot of time or the ability or many other things to perform a lot of stand-up, which sucks because I love it. But anyway, hope you'll check that out if you're anywhere near Brooklyn. Okay. Let's keep moving. So, and thank you, Don, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Did I get everyone else? Nadia, Peasants Revolt. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Truly love it. I do not frown upon super chats. Ratso Harris is asking about Brooklyn. Yes, it is in Brooklyn. That's where the show is. So check it out. Cobra Club. Okay. If you didn't hear it, was it yesterday or the day before? Maybe, I don't know. Well, because Israel's across the globe from us, the days are slightly, different. So it was there Sunday, but I think it started on our Saturday. Anyway, Israel rained 100 airstrikes. That might be more than one bomb. I don't know. But 100 airstrikes down on Gaza. This is during the so-called ceasefire. They killed dozens of people. It says at least 15 people killed, but I think it's more like 50. 15 was the initial number. At least 100 Israeli airstrikes, dozens killed. The toll expected to rise after 8 days of ceasefire violations, during which Israel has killed at least 52 people. The apartheid state has resumed its relentless bombing of Gaza, just as it has done for the past 2 years. The ceasefire everyone knew Israel would never uphold is now unmistakably over. By the way, they have stopped bombing, and I'll get into that in a moment. Israel has confirmed it launched a massive waves of attack across the enclave, claiming to target dozens of sites. Among those hit were a cafe, family homes, and displacement tents. Now that Israel has got the captives back, they're back to killing us. One Gazan said, on top of slaughtering entire families, Israel has announced it will block all aid, which it did for at least a day. It now says that aid will continue back going into Gaza. But this is what Israel considers a ceasefire. And here is a quick quote by Israeli National Security Minister Ben-Gvir. Thank you, Ratso, for supporting the show. Ratso asks when I'm going to be in the Bronx. Really, Ratso? You can't come all the way from the Bronx to Brooklyn to see me? Jesus. That's like a half-hour subway ride. Come on. 20 minutes on a good day. Anyway, let's play this clip. Hold on. Let me make it large for you. So for those of you listening to the podcast, unfortunately, you'll have to put up with 30 seconds of Hebrew, and then I'll translate it. אין שום דבר שעובדה מוגמרת, ולהפך. אנחנו כרגע יכולים, יש לנו כרגע את ההזדמנות, במיוחד היום הזה. Okay, hold on. I could have sworn this initially had the closed captioning on it, but now it seems to be gone. Okay. Anyway, he says, now that we have received the hostages, we must return to war and open the gates of hell upon Gaza. That's a direct quote from Ben-Gvir. Basically, acknowledging what many believed, which was Israel would do anything. Israel would claim to have a ceasefire for a few days to get the hostages back and then continue the war. So he said the quiet part loud. But let me get back to Israel's claim about why they just dropped 100 missiles on Gaza, basically continuing the genocide yet again. They claim that Hamas had fired an anti-tank missile and gunfire toward IDF troops after emerging from a tunnel near Rafah in the south of the Strip. Quote, this is from Hamas. We have no knowledge of any incidents or clashes taking place in the Rafah area, as these are red zones under the Israeli occupation's control. So basically, Hamas says, we have no idea what you're talking about and why are you bombing the shit out of Gaza again? War criminal far-right ministers Ben-Gvir and Smotrich are both keen to resume the genocide. Ben-Gvir also said, I call on the prime minister to order the IDF to fully resume fighting in the Gaza Strip at full strength. The false imaginations that Hamas will turn its back or even abide by the agreement. So he's doing the bullshit thing of claiming, oh, Hamas won't abide by it, so we should keep bombing them. So the Israeli occupation seized the opportunity to launch a wave of strikes in several areas of Gaza, including Khan Yunis in the south. It also announced that the Rafah border would remain closed and no aid trucks would be allowed to enter. Israeli media reported that there was a gag order, meaning journalists could not report on the incident in Rafah. I wonder why. And according to Palestinian journalist Yunus Tirawi, this is because the occupation forces were lying. The incident in Rafah had nothing to do with Hamas, but instead involved illegal colonial settlers who are employed in Gaza by the military to use their private bulldozers to flatten the homes of displaced Palestinians. The noise heard was not caused by a supposed anti-tank missile being fired or any gunfire, but by a settler's bulldozer running over an unexploded ordnance when it was destroying homes. So this is a settler, which is a nice term for land pillager, that their bulldozer was blown up because Israel has countless unexploded ordinances throughout Gaza now because of all the bombing they've done. A certain percentage of those are not going to explode and they sit there on the ground. So these people blew themselves up. And I also think that even though they might not have been active duty military, they're almost every settler, quote unquote, is former IDF or current IDF because everyone in Israel has to be in the IDF. So the odds that these people, now there occasionally is someone who, was never in the IDF because they moved to Israel when they were 50 or 60 or some shit like that. But in general, it would be shocking if these people who blew themselves up were not IDF veterans. The incident, here's that same reporter saying a group of settlers who own private companies for demolishing houses have continued to demolish the remains of Rafah's houses. 2 of them were injured, most likely due to an explosive device that the vehicle passed over. Here's from Drop Site News. Soon after the explosion in Rafah, I'm told by a source familiar, the White House and Pentagon knew that the incident was caused by an Israeli settler bulldozer running over an unexploded ordnance. So it seems like everyone involved, Israel, Hamas, the United States, the settlers, they all knew that this was not Hamas. And yet Israel used it as an excuse to rain more bombs down on Gaza. Now, Trump is confirming that the ceasefire is still in effect. You notice the term ceasefire means different things for Israel. For most people in most countries, it would mean when you have a ceasefire, there is zero firing. For Israel, it means, we won't fire unless we feel like it. Sometimes we might use a sniper to kill a child somewhere. We might murder a doctor. We might also just black bag some people and torture them to death. But ceasefire, essentially it's a ceasefire. Israel's the only country where ceasefire means, you can keep obliterating the people just slightly slower. This report is saying that the Israeli airstrike killed 45 people in that one day when they rained more bombs down on Gaza. Maybe here's the... I don't know. I don't know. I still can't find that clip. I need to stop trying. Okay. I now want to play a clip. So, Trump has put Kushner in, hopefully this one's not in Hebrew. If this clip of Kushner talking is in Hebrew, then I give up. I'm throwing in the towel. Trump has put Kushner yet again in charge of whatever this garbage imperialist policy is in Gaza, Palestine, etc. He's put Kushner and I think and Witkoff and maybe in the future Tony Blair for some reason. But you got to hear this clip from Kushner, and then there's one sentence by Witkoff at the end. It is one of the most insane clips I've ever seen, because Kushner he essentially admits genocide, but doesn't seem to realize what he said. Anyway, this is him. This is this fucking goon-faced loon on 60 Minutes the other day.
Before the hostages actually come out, you decide to go to Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you see?
It looked almost like a nuclear bomb had been set off in that area. And then you see these people moving back. And I asked the IDF, where are they going? I'm looking around. These are all ruins. And they said, well, they're going back to the areas where their destroyed home was, onto their plot, and they're going to pitch a tent. And it's very sad, because you think to yourself, they really have nowhere else to go.
Would you say now, having been there, that it was genocide?
No.
Absolutely not. No.
He said basically the whole area is destroyed. These people are going back to homes, and he means all of them. So all of the homes have been destroyed. These people are going back to all of the homes that have been destroyed. They go to where their home was and they pitch a tent because they don't know where else to go. And then he's asked, is this genocide? And he says no. Now, what the fuck are you talking about? What is it? The U.S. admits tens of thousands have been killed. They admit, as he just did, that nearly every home is destroyed or damaged. It's like 95% have been destroyed or damaged. What would you call it? No, is this genocide? Absolutely not. Oh my God, no. This is the farthest thing from genocide. I've never seen anything like this that's farther from genocide. No way. No way. I keep saying, I think these people, their qualm is with the dictionary. They just don't want to acknowledge what the actual definition of fucking genocide is. That's what their qualm is. Thank you, Don, for supporting the show. Solidarity to you, good sir. I am more suppressed than ever, so it is great to see you guys supporting the show. I truly appreciate it. Many of you have been supporting it on Substack as well, so thank you for that. I don't know. Maybe this would be annoying. I really want to play this clip again because it's so utterly insane. And you'll notice that I don't think Kushner has any pupils. I think he's got the same devil stare that fucking Blinken had.
Before the hostages actually come out, you decide to go to Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you see?
It looked almost like a nuclear bomb had been set off in that area. And then you see these people moving back. And I asked the IDF, where are they going? Like, I'm looking around. These are all ruins. And they said, well, they're going back to the areas where their destroyed home was, onto their plot, and they're going to pitch a tent. And it's very sad because you think to yourself, they really have nowhere else to go.
Would you say now, having been there, that it was genocide?
No.
Absolutely not. No.
I love those two sentences together, like those two statements together. It looks like a nuclear bomb is going off. There's nothing left. And let's just point out that a nuclear bomb, or enough bombs that they have the same effect as a nuclear bomb, it is not a precision target, right? If you've destroyed an area like a nuclear bomb does, then you have not done little pinprick strikes here and there. You have obliterated an area. That's what he's saying. That, again, definition of genocide. It's the definition of mass punishment because it is killing everyone. That is also a war crime. And then, would you think it's a genocide? What? They act like she just asked, would you have sex with a farm animal? No. Like, they act like her question had no. And by the way, Leslie Stahl is a piece of human garbage who has supported just about every U.S. war in existence. And so I'm not saying look, great journalist there. I think she asked that question because she was hoping to get the answer no, so that they could use that defense. Okay, for this last segment, I think we need a couple more minutes of laughing at RFK Jr. For this last little segment, I think I'm gonna have time to do an extra segment. What the extra segment is gonna be on today is someone in the chat, but there was someone else as well. What was asking me or my take or something to my take on the genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And apparently Bill Maher, people are picking up this, this garbage from Bill Maher because Bill Maher did a segment on how there's been a genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And I'm going to discuss that in a moment. That's going to be the extra segment for those of you at Locals and Patreon. It is free, by the way, if you join up over at leecamp.net. You can get a free month by using promo code LeeCampFree, all one word. LeeCampFree, all caps, one word, LeeCampFree. Use that code. You'll get a month for free. You'll also get my ebook for free, and you'll get the extra segment that I'm going to do in a few minutes. You can also join up my Patreon, patreon.com/LeeCamp, and you would get that segment as well. But before we get to that, thank you, Arlene, for supporting the show. Much love. Here's a clip of RFK Jr. that has come to light. Now, it's from several years ago, 2016. So when Trump first ran for office, and he had said, RFK Jr. has said that he used to be against Trump, and now he's for Trump. So he said he had a bit of a switch on that. But I'm not sure people understand just some of the things he said. So this clip has recently come to light. I think it might have been talking to Matt Taibbi, who has also become, kind of become unhinged. He's suffering from the reverse Trump derangement syndrome. It's interesting. People have used the term Trump derangement syndrome against liberals, which I understand, which is all our problems are Trump. Anything wrong is Trump. It's just Trump, Trump, Trump. Get it? There's also another kind of Trump derangement syndrome, which is people who were anti-Trump and then Trump just took over their frontal lobe and now they love Trump. The Tulsi Gabbards of the world, the Joe Rogans, Matt Taibbi doesn't love Trump, but he's become bizarrely right-wing. Matt Taibbi claims he can't say anything about Israel because he doesn't understand it enough. Oh, and apparently, despite not understanding it enough, he wrote an article years ago, I think 2012 or something, about how Israel was an apartheid state or something. So he used to understand it, and then poof, his understanding of Israel disappeared. Thank you, Kuznetsky, for supporting the show. Much love. Yes, you're talking about Larry Ellison and Son bought CBS through Skydance, but that contributes to 60 Minutes being garbage, but 60 Minutes was garbage before. Don't worry about 60 Minutes. It was garbage before. Everybody just relax. 60 Minutes was a pro-empire, pro-imperial, pro-war garbage outlet years ago. But yes, it's only going to get worse. Okay, let me play this clip of RFK Jr. It's pretty incredible. It's only 40 seconds, but pretty amazing.
One of the things that you write so beautifully, and your stuff is so fun to read, but you write about Trump. Quote, the way that you build a truly vicious nationalist movement is to wed a relatively small core of belligerent idiots to a much larger group of opportunists and spineless fellow travelers whose primary function is to turn a blind eye to things. We may not have that many outright Nazis in America, but we have plenty of cowards and bootlickers. And once those fleshy dominoes start tumbling into the Trump camp, the game is up. When you talk about fleshy dominoes, Chris Christie comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm 98% certain that voice at the end is Matt Taibbi. But and I know you may hear this and think it's so anti-Trump and it's like that it's probably fake. Apparently people have verified this, and it was verified by other outlets like I think Politico and Rolling Stone. So this is RFK, and both him and Taibbi, the two people on this phone call, have made the switch to bootlickers. Like, it's what the fuck is going on? How do you pivot that far? You just go wherever. Cowards and bootlickers, and that the term he used, cowards and bootlickers. You just make the switch to wherever the power is. Oh, power's over here. Oh, power used to be with Bernie Sanders. And I mean, when it looked like he might win the presidency back, if you were a Democrat supporting Bernie Sanders at the time, then it looked like he had a lot of power. So power used to be over there. And they were like, hey, power's with actually giving a shit about the world and, all these things, caring about healthcare and stuff. And then the power dynamic shift and the cowards and the bootlickers, boy, was RFK right. Fell right in line. They fell right in line. Did he know he was talking about himself? Did he fucking know he was talking about himself? And for those of you who have not been following the actions RFK Jr. has been taking recently, he has thrown most of his old beliefs out the window. He's not shown any sign of really keeping large corporations in check. He used to talk about big ag. He's stopped talking about that because that would harm Trump's McDonald's. He makes up the most egregious lies to support Israel that I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, it really is just atrocious what he's done. And we'll throw this in there as well. Not that the Surgeon General is be all and end all of everything. Some Surgeon Generals are kind of garbage, but to have 6 former Surgeon Generals coming from both sides of the aisle, these are both capitalist sides of the aisle, so you can take that with a grain of salt. But both six former surgeon, sorry, not both, six former surgeon generals of the past six administrations have said RFK Jr. is endangering the health of the nation, which is a pretty crazy, I mean, to think that George W. Bush's Surgeon General and, Obama and Clinton's and Surgeon Generals would all get together and agree on something is pretty crazy. It's the Surgeon Generals that were appointed by every Republican and Democratic president since George H.W. Bush all come together to say RFK Jr.'s out of, he's unhinged. Despite differences in perspectives, we have always been united in an unwavering commitment to science and evidence-based public health. It is, there might be some exceptions with that, but they also cited Kennedy's recent and discredited claim that the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy, this is from Truth Out, by the way, during pregnancy is linked to autism. The claim has been widely condemned by scientific and medical communities who have pointed out that the available research is inconclusive and insufficient. Also, there are communities without acetaminophen or don't use much of it who have the same rates of autism. Also, there's the fact that I thought for like a decade, RFK Jr. said it was vaccines causing autism. Now it's acetaminophen. We just, why not? Let's just switch it today because he feels like it, Anyway, what a lovely guy. Gotta love RFK Jr. Okay, I'm going to do a quick extra segment for everybody over at Locals on Bill Maher's claim that there is a genocide against Christians happening in Nigeria. And you notice the people talking about this, there's two types of people that are trying to make this a thing, the genocide against Christians in Africa and Nigeria. One is like literal like Christian nationalists or fascists who want to say, oh, there's genocides against white people in the world, right? That's what we need to worry about is white people or Christians or white Christians. That's really what we got to worry about. Forget about Gazans and all that stuff. It's Christians. So that's one thing. It's a lot of mainly right-wingers. And then the tiny other group trying to claim there's a genocide against Christians is people who support Israel as they genocide, Gazans, and want to say that genocide doesn't matter. The real genocide is fill in the blank. So that's the other type of people trying to push this garbage. Okay, I'll get into it in a second. Thank you all who, if you don't want to come over and get a free month over at leecamp.net, then I will see you Wednesday for another live stream. You have to just show up because you won't get alerted. leecamp.net is where you can join up. Use the the promo code LeeCampFree, one word, all caps, to get a free month and my ebook for free. I hope you'll do that. Also, Substack, new column there on No Kings and how it could have meant something and didn't. So I hope you'll find it's called My Name's Real Lee Camp over there. All right. See you Wednesday if you're not joining me on Locals and Patreon. All right. Just wait 1 second, everybody at Locals, and I'll be right with you. Sorry for the delay.